winefinder.com again and again and again and again. And we have another wine today. This one is from Trader Joe's. I stood in line and got a wipe down cart and scared everybody inside who thinks I was going to get them sick. But heck, that's what we're living with today. And this is a weird oddball wine. This is the Parasphere Sonoma County Zinfandel from 2014. So it sells for $7.99. And this is a Zinfandel with 6 going on 7 years of bottle age. That's from Sonoma. And you don't normally get Zinfandels that old in the, well, you don't, not normally, you never get those that old in this price range. And there's a reason for it, which I'll go into. Because there's a bunch of weird things about this I'll get to, but when they make wine for like 10, 12 bucks, they make it in a style that lets the wine come together quickly. It doesn't have a lot of aging potential at all. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be bright and juicy and ready to go. It might last a few years, but no one really knows because everybody drinks it as soon as they buy it. It's just not that kind of wine. In 6 years, if you put it away for 6 years, it might be okay. It might not be okay. And no one does that because, it's not made to do that. Now, when you go into like a $20, $25 bottle of wine, now that's going to be made with a more elaborate production style. It's going to have more oak aging. So it's going to be made in a way that will stand up to the oak aging. It'll have more tannins. And it will actually have a little more aging potential, but it's still drink it now. They don't accentuate the qualities of the grape that allow it to age. And sometimes the grapes don't even really have what it takes. There's certain grapes for certain types of wine. And, if you drink it now wine doesn't have to have those qualities. It's not necessary. But if it has some of those qualities in it for these $20, $25 wines, they don't remove those qualities that allow it to age. They just don't accentuate it. So it can go 5 or 6 years, maybe 10 years. You never know. It goes, it's by the individual wine. But again, it's drink it now wine. People drink it now wines within hours of taking it home. So, does it age? Well, here we have a bottle of wine that's 6 years old. And Zinfandels usually don't get aged too much. I mean, they're not like Cabernet Sauvignons and Chardonnays and what have you, which can go 20, 25 years. There's certain wines, Barolos and, Chateauneuf du Papes and stuff, which you can put away for a while routinely. Sonoma Zinfandels don't normally do that. And the ones that can are expensive. I mean, because it's, the grapes are from, a smaller area where they have the qualities. So this is weird. I mean, a normal drink it now Zinfandel shouldn't be 6 years old. It should be long gone by now. 2, it's in this kind of different bottle. The bottle's a little narrower and taller. So it's not a typical normal bottle. When you have these, often with inexpensive wines, you're using kind of a generic bottle. There's several different bottle styles, shape styles that people use. And they'll use, one of the ones that everybody uses. They're cheaper. This is kind of heavy, not routine, not, cut of the mill bottle. And the weirdest thing for me is I popped the top and took the cork out. It's an actual cork. Now here at Cheap Wine Finder, I pop tops on wine all the time and I keep the corks. I have this really great cork project coming up. No, I don't. I don't know why I keep it. But, it's... I looked at the bowl and I'm trying to see how many corks in there are actual 100% cork, legitimate corks. And they're all synthetics or composite or some crazy things that you don't put real corks. They're expensive in cheap wines that aren't going to need a cork, that aren't going to be aged. I mean, the other ones are just stoppers. They're not going to, age a wine. They're, you probably don't even want them. These synthetic corks, you don't want them with the wine, for too long. Who knows what's going to happen? A real deal cork is a different story. And this isn't like the plugs you get in $100 bottles of wine. Those are kind of elite corks, but this was a real deal cork, which you don't get nowadays. So it's a aged wine. It's got a heavy kind of oddball, expensive bottle, and it's got a real cork. And the name of it was, what is it? What is it again? Parasphere. And I looked up Parasphere to see if I could find out who that is. And the name was copyrighted in November of 2019. So the name wasn't around when this wine was made. The wine's from 2014. The Parasphere is from the end of 2019. And in a roundabout way, I figured out who is the winery involved. Kind of, and it's a, independently owned winery out of Napa. They don't normally make, they specialize in Napa wines, and they don't normally do, $8 wines. So this is kind of a weird wine. It's way too cheap for what it is. So is it what it suggested is this a $20 wine that's left over? Because $10 wines that last 6 years, usually you can't drink. They're pretty much past their prime. It's got a real cork. It's got a real bottle, which suggests that it was going to sell for more. How much more, you never know, but not $7.99. I'm going to take a sip. And it's another thing I'm going to talk about because people who drink wine in the value price range might not like aged wine. And I'll get into that after I take a sip. And then this is still fine. I mean, I got a feeling this is towards the end of its lifespan, but it's still drinking okay. You can kind of see, hints of where it might have gone a little, it's starting around the edges to feel like it's starting to get a little bit long on the legs. But a lot of people like how bright and juicy and plump and fun and, good acidity and lots of flavors jumping out of inexpensive wines. They can be made to be kind of fun to drink. And these older ones are darker and brooding and may not be your style of wine. Even, and I don't know what the provenance of this one is. It might be a really good wine that's selling for cheap, and it's because it's selling for cheap because it's got to sell now. Next year is going to be too long. It's going to be gone by then. But you never know. I mean, you don't know who this is. You don't know why it is. It's a weird story. There's things that suggest it's a more expensive bottle of wine, that it's left over from somebody. But then again, if it's from a Napa, if this Napa winery made it, maybe they only have fancy bottles and fancy corks there. Maybe they don't really have a bunch of inexpensive bottles and, composite synthetic corks on hand. It could be they bought some wine from somebody and used what they had on hand. Maybe it doesn't have this crazy, isn't, a $25 bottle of wine in hiding, and it's a cheap price because it's got to go because next year you're going to have to dump it out. It won't be worth drinking. This is the final year of drinking. I don't know. And I'm going to take another drink. It's not my favorite Zinfandel by any means because I'm so used to drinking the younger, the brighter, the shinier. Normally like a 2017 or even a 2018 Zinfandels are out now in the price range. 2014 is, got more age than you normally get. It's like an in-between age. It's not, it's not a 15-year-old wine that's gone through the aging process because there's ups and downs in the price, in the aging process. There's times when it's not very good and then it gets good again. And sometimes a 15-year-old wine can taste brand new almost, but just melded together in these weird and wonderful ways. But we don't really have that here. We have an aged Zinfandel, which is unique, and it's very much worth drinking. I'm going to take another sip. Yeah, it drinks fine. It's just a weird wine. I don't know. It's something you need if you're into Zinfandel. You need to try. I mean, it's $7.99. You got nothing to lose if you don't like the aging of it. If you think it's too dark, if you think it's got if you think it's a little bit too much towards the edge, it's not. It's just dark and brooding wine. You're not out any money, but you've tried it. And then you can try to go through your head, what the heck is this wine? Is this actually is this a $25 wine? Is this one of the, because the people who make $25 Sonoma wines are some pretty big winemakers. Yeah, so you don't know. And so, but it could be something wild. It could be something very normal. And who knows? But there you go. It's a mystery wine. It's fun. That's why I like Trader Joe's. They're fun. And, looks like things are starting to get a little bit better out there. Not too much, but people have, I think 1 million people have gotten the disease and more people have died than died in Vietnam or something in the United States. Oh, gee. So they're starting to look for a hope for a while anyway, but still take it easy, be safe. Get out of the store occasionally if you can, wear a mask, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days. Keep it cheap. Adios and bye-bye.